The emergency disciplinary tribunal convened in 17 minutes flat, a new record that Dean Zillax would have been proud of under different circumstances. Right now, he was too busy staring at security footage that made absolutely no sense. "Run it again," he said, his three eyes locked on the holographic display. The footage rewound. Vexthul, senior xenoanthropology student, reached across the aisle during Professor Talana's lecture on primitive cultural development. His hand closed on the shoulder of the human exchange student, Mia Jones, according to the registry. The timestamp showed what happened next lasted exactly 2.3 seconds. Mia's hand moved, then moved again, and again. The footage blurred slightly, the Academy's military-grade sensors struggling to track the motion. Vexthul collapsed. Mia returned to taking notes. "Impossible," Security Chief Jitaro muttered, his mandibles clicking nervously. According to YouTube analytics, 99.6% of viewers are not subscribed. That's a huge number. By subscribing the channel that is completely free, you'll help support the channel and never miss fresh content. The time frame doesn't allow for 17 broken bones, the medical officer interrupted, reading from her datapad. 3 cracked ribs, fractured jaw, dislocated shoulder, compound fracture in the left forearm, and internal hemorrhaging in 4 locations. All injuries sustained in 2.3 seconds of contact. Dean Zillax felt his stomach acids churn. And the human? Sitting in the waiting area outside, still has her textbook, asked if she could continue studying while we sorted this out. The medical officer's expression suggested she found this more disturbing than the injuries themselves. "She didn't even stand up from her desk," Jitaro added, rewinding the footage again. "Look, she remains seated. Her posture barely changes, it's all upper body movement, and I count," he paused, his tactical training kicking in. "By the void, I count simultaneous strikes to 7 different impact points. How is that physically possible?" The council chamber doors opened. Mia Jones walked in, escorted by 2 security officers who maintained a notably careful distance. She looked exactly like her ID photo, brown hair pulled back, standard student uniform, carrying a worn backpack covered in colorful patches. She smiled politely. "Hi. Am I in trouble? Because I've got a quantum mechanics exam tomorrow and I really need to study." Dean Zillax studied the human. She stood maybe 1.6 meters tall, slight build, utterly unremarkable by most species standards. She'd been on campus for 3 months, perfect attendance, high marks, 0 disciplinary issues until 37 minutes ago. "Miss Jones, do you understand why you're here?" "Vexthul grabbed me during class." She said it like she was describing the weather. "I don't let people touch me without asking first." "You sent him to medical stasis." What?" Her expression shifted to genuine concern. "Is he okay?" "I pulled my hits." Pulled her hits. The medical officer made a choking sound. "Miss Jones," Zillax said carefully, "Vexthul outweighs you by 40 kilograms and has natural armor plating. You inflicted injuries our medical team describes as combat-grade trauma in 2.3 seconds, while seated, without even raising your voice." Mia blinked. "He grabbed my shoulder from behind. What was I supposed to do?" "Perhaps ask him to stop." She looked at him like he'd suggested she breathe vacuum. "He was grabbing me. The time for asking had kind of passed." Council member Kael'thas leaned forward, his elaborate headcrest betraying his agitation. "This tribunal demands the immediate removal of this human from campus. She's clearly a threat to—" "A threat," Mia's voice sharpened. "He attacked first. I defended myself. That's literally what you're supposed to do when someone— You nearly killed a student. If I'd wanted to kill him, he'd be dead." She said it with the same casual certainty someone might say, "If I'd wanted pizza, I'd have ordered pizza." I stopped as soon as he let go. Then I sat back down because Talana was in the middle of explaining Zeknari marriage rituals, and I needed those notes. The chamber fell silent except for the soft hum of environmental systems. Dean Zilax pulled up Mia's application file with trembling fingers. He'd reviewed it 3 months ago during standard admission processing. Good academic record from Earth's Continental Education Network. Glowing recommendations. Stated interest in comparative cultural studies. He'd barely glanced at the planetary classification, his eyes fixed on the designation, Earth. Class 12 Deathworld. "Oh no," he whispered. "What's a Class 12? Kael'thas demanded. Security Chief Jotaro had gone very still, the way experienced soldiers do when they've just realized they've been standing next to something dangerous. "It's the highest classification for inhabited worlds," he said quietly. 12 means approximately 96% of galactic species would suffer complete mortality within one standard rotation without intensive artificial support systems. 96%, the medical officer repeated faintly. Mia shifted her backpack. "Yeah, Earth's kind of rough if you're not adapted to it. The gravity alone tends to mess people up, and the bacteria. Oh, and we've got like 7 different types of predators that specifically hunt primates, which is fun. Plus, the weather gets exciting." "Exciting?" "Tornadoes, hurricanes, floods, droughts, heat waves, cold snaps, weather." She paused. "Wait, do other planets not have exciting weather?" Jotaro was frame by frame analyzing the security footage again. "Dean, I need to show you something." He isolated the 2.3-second window and expanded it. "Here, first strike to the solar plexus. That's the diaphragm impact. Causes respiratory disruption. Simultaneous strike to the radial nerve cluster. Right arm disabled. Third strike, here, to the jaw. Disorienting blow. Likely caused immediate vision disruption. Fourth." "There's no time for 4 strikes," Kael'thas interrupted. "There are 17 strikes." Jotaro corrected. "All delivered in the span of time it takes most species to register a threat. Our sensors classify her movement speed as weapons grade. Her accuracy is..." He stopped, recalculating. "Her accuracy is 100%. Every single strike landed on a vulnerable point with precisely calibrated force." "I told you I pulled my hits," Mia said, sounding frustrated. "If I'd gone full force, I would have..." She caught herself. "Look, he surprised me, okay? You don't grab a human from behind. We don't like that." "Why not?" the medical officer asked, professional curiosity overriding her alarm. "Because things that grab you from behind on Earth usually want to eat you or kill you, and sometimes both, in whatever order is convenient for them." The council chamber had gone cold. Dean Zilax pulled up Earth's full classification file. The details loaded slowly, as if the system itself was reluctant to display them. Atmospheric composition, 21% oxygen, high enough to fuel rapid combustion and aggressive metabolism. Gravity, 1.0 G standard, which meant it was one of the few worlds that defined the standard. Predator diversity, off the scale. Parasitic species, catalog incomplete. Microbial lethality, extreme. Average human childhood survival rate compared to galactic standard. "How is this number possible?" he breathed. "What number?" Mia asked. "It says humans survive childhood at rates that would suggest..." He couldn't finish the sentence. "Oh yeah, like 98% of us make it to adulthood." She grinned. "My mom always said, Earth's a great place to raise kids because it builds character." "Builds character," Jotaro repeated hollowly. "Your planet kills 96% of galactic species in a day, and you raise children there." "Well, yeah. Where else would we raise them?" Professor Talana, who'd been silent until now, spoke up from her position near the door. "I was in the classroom when the incident occurred. Miss Jones had been an exemplary student for 3 months, attentive, curious, kind to her classmates. She regularly helps other students with difficult concepts." She hesitated. After the incident, she checked on Vexthul before security arrived, asked if he was breathing properly. Then she sat down and continued taking notes. "He was breathing fine," Mia confirmed. Little raspy, but that was just the solar plexus hit. It passes after a few minutes. You've done this before, Jotaro said. It wasn't a question. What? Had someone grabbed me without permission? Unfortunately, yeah. Some people don't understand boundaries. No, I mean you've incapacitated opponents before. Mia looked uncomfortable. I mean, I took self-defense classes in primary school, everyone does, and I did 3 years of practical threat assessment in secondary school. That's standard graduation requirement, but I'm not like a fighter or anything. I'm a cultural studies student. Self-defense classes, the medical officer said faintly. In primary school. Yeah, starting around age 6. Earlier if your parents are worried about local predators. Dean Zilax felt his world tilting. Miss Jones, on your planet, are humans considered dangerous? She laughed. Are you kidding? We're pretty much at the bottom of the food chain. Do you know how many things on Earth can kill a human? Everything from tiny frogs to microscopic bacteria to the weather itself. We're survival specialists, not apex predators. You just disabled a trained fighter in 2.3 seconds. Yeah, because he grabbed me. That's literally Threat Response 101. Identify, neutralize, reassess. I learned that when I was 7. The emergency tribunal members looked at each other, then at the security footage, then at the small, cheerful human who just described combat-grade violence as a standard childhood lesson. We need, Dean Zilax said slowly, to contact the Galactic Education Board immediately. The Galactic Education Board representative arrived within 3 hours, which spoke to how seriously Central Command was taking this. Azila swept into the council chamber with the confidence of someone who'd seen everything the galaxy could throw at her, which, given her 40 years in xenobiology, wasn't far from the truth. That confidence lasted approximately 7 minutes. Run the footage again, she demanded for the 3rd time. They ran it again. Azila's crest flattened against her skull, a sign of deep distress in her species. The reaction time is impossible. She neutralized a threat before her conscious mind should have even registered it existed. It's called threat assessment, Mia said from her seat. She'd been here for 6 hours now and was getting visibly tired. You see a threat, you respond. Conscious thought comes after. That's not how neurology works for any species I've studied. It's how it works on Earth. You think about stuff after you're safe, not while something's trying to hurt you. Thinking takes too long. Azila pulled up a holographic model of human anatomy. The medical officer had provided extensive scans. Your muscle density is 3 times what it should be for your body mass. Your bone structure suggests adaptation to high-impact stress. Your nervous system... She paused, running calculations. Your reaction time is faster than our combat drones. That seems like a you problem, Mia said. Maybe you should build better drones. This isn't a joke, Miss Jones. You nearly killed a student. And I'm sorry about that. Mia's expression softened. Really, I am, but Vexthul grabbed me without warning. From behind, in a room full of people I barely know. My hindbrain doesn't care about his intentions. It just knows something big grabbed me from a blind spot. Everything after that is automatic. Automatic, Jotaro said. So you're saying you can't control it? I controlled it plenty. I stopped hitting him as soon as he let go. I didn't go for lethal points. I didn't follow up after he dropped. That's all conscious control. She rubbed her eyes. Look, I get that this is scary for you, but from my perspective, a guy twice my size attacked me during class, and I defended myself. I don't understand why that's controversial. Azila was reading Earth's environmental data with growing horror. Dean Zilax, did you know that Earth's atmosphere contains enough oxygen to sustain open flames naturally? That their weather systems regularly produce winds strong enough to destroy structures? That they have predators, multiple species of predators, that actively hunt humans? I'm learning this now, yes. and they send their children to school on this planet, in structures that are apparently not fortified against constant attack. The schools have fire drills, Mia offered, and tornado shelters. Some of them have bear protocols if you're in certain regions. Bear protocols. Yeah, for if a bear gets into the school. It doesn't happen often. It happens at all. Azila looked like she needed to sit down. What kind of Deathworld raises young around predators that require emergency protocols? The kind that produces humans who can defend themselves when necessary, Professor Talana said quietly. Perhaps we've been looking at this incorrectly. What do you mean? Miss Jones hasn't attacked anyone. She hasn't threatened anyone. For 3 months, she's been a model student, helpful, friendly, engaged. Today, someone violated her physical boundaries in a manner her evolutionary background codes as dangerous. She responded exactly as she was trained to respond, then immediately stopped and showed concern for her attacker. She broke 17 bones and prevented Vexthul from possibly doing the same to her. We don't know what his intentions were when he grabbed her. He was trying to get her attention, Kel'Thas protested. He grabbed a predator species from a blind angle without warning, Jotaro corrected. In any combat training scenario, that's classified as hostile action. She's a student, not a combat unit. On Earth, Mia said tiredly, those aren't mutually exclusive categories. Humans don't have combat training. We just have training for survival. Because everything on our planet is trying to kill us all the time, so we adapted to be really, really good at not dying. Azila sat down slowly. You're telling me this combat-ready neurology, this threat response system, this ridiculous physical capability, this is baseline for your species? Yeah, I mean, I'm not even particularly athletic. I'm just a standard human. The xenobiologist looked at Dean Zelax. We need to reclassify contact protocols for Deathworld species immediately. This isn't a human problem. We've been treating apex predators like herbivores problem. The psychological evaluation took another 4 hours. Dr. Zilar, the Academy's head of student wellness, emerged from the private session looking shaken. She doesn't register the incident as violence, he reported to the assembled council. In her perception, she enforced a boundary. That's all. The physical response was simply communication. Communication? Kel'Thas sputtered. Yes. Don't touch me expressed through the most efficient means available. She describes it the same way we might describe raising our voices to emphasize a point. Dean Zelax reviewed the Earth cultural files they'd pulled. It says here that humans have concepts of personal space and consent that are extremely emphasized in their social structure. It's not complicated, Mia said when called back in. Don't touch people without permission. Don't enter someone's personal space without invitation. Don't grab people from behind. These are like basic rules we teach toddlers. But the force you used was proportional to the threat I perceived. Vexthul is bigger than me, stronger than me, has natural armor, and grabbed me without warning. I responded appropriately. She paused. Actually, I under-responded. My instructor would have told me to go for more immediate incapacitation if I felt threatened. More? The medical officer whispered. I didn't strike any truly vulnerable points. No throat, no eyes, no groin, no spine. I went for painful but temporary damage because once I had a second to process, I realized we were in a classroom, not an actual dangerous situation. So I adjusted. The mercy in that statement hung in the air. Security Chief Jotaro pulled up Vexthul's statement from medical. He says he was attempting to initiate courtship contact. He thought humans were a soft species and would be flattered by his attention. Everyone turned to look at Mia, whose expression had gone flat. He thought I was soft. According to his psychological profile, he was attracted to your perceived vulnerability and wanted to... Let me get this straight. He decided I looked weak, so he grabbed me without asking, and now he's surprised that the weak girl put him in medical stasis. Her voice was very calm, very controlled. Somehow that made it more terrifying. You know what we call that on Earth? We call that fuck around and find out. Dean Zillax found himself smiling despite the situation. Miss Jones, I believe we owe you an apology. You think? Vexthul violated first contact protocols with a Deathworld species. He initiated unwanted physical contact with a being whose evolutionary background codes such contact as a threat. You responded with remarkable restraint. He looked at the council. I move to dismiss all charges against Miss Jones and file charges against Vexthul for assault and reckless endangerment. Seconded, Jotaro said immediately. Kael'thas looked like he wanted to argue, but Azila cut him off. The human showed mercy. She could have killed Vexthul, easily, from what I've seen of their capabilities. She chose not to. She pulled her strikes, avoided lethal points, and stopped the moment the threat ceased. That's not violence. That's precision and control. I just want to finish my degree, Mia said quietly. I came here to learn about other cultures, not to fight anyone. I like it here. Most people are really nice, and the food's interesting, and I'm learning so much. She looked at Dean Zillax. Can I go back to class? I really do have that quantum mechanics exam. After we implement some new protocols, he said, for your safety and everyone else's. She nodded. Fair enough. Maybe put up some signs? Don't grab the human seems like it would cover most situations. We'll be more comprehensive than that, Azila assured her. And Miss Jones, thank you for not killing our student. You're welcome. The campus-wide briefing happened the next morning. Every student, every faculty member, every staff member packed into the main auditorium. Dean Zillax stood at the podium, choosing his words carefully. Yesterday, we learned an important lesson about assumptions, he began. We've been operating under the assumption that all students share similar threat response patterns. We were wrong. The new protocols scrolled on screens throughout the auditorium. Personal space requirements for Deathworld species. Minimum 2 meters unless invited. Prohibition on unexpected physical contact. Mandatory consent training for all students. Clear marking of Deathworld species status, not as a warning, but as an information requirement. In the medical wing, Vexthul sat in his recovery bed, mandibles clicking in what his species used for embarrassed laughter. I'm an idiot, he said to the nurse. You made an incorrect assessment, the nurse corrected diplomatically. I grabbed an apex predator from behind because I thought she looked cute and vulnerable. He groaned. My combat instructor is going to use this as a teaching example for the next decade. This is what happens when you don't research species classifications before initiating contact. The nurse patted his uninjured shoulder. On the bright side, you're alive. Miss Jones could have killed you. I know. She told me when she visited this morning. She visited? Brought me fruit from Earth. Said she felt bad about breaking so many of my bones. He looked at the strange, colorful spheres in the basket. She also explained personal boundaries using very small words and several visual aids. I feel like I just got lectured by my childhood educator. Perhaps you needed it. Definitely needed it. He touched his jaw gingerly. I'm filing a formal apology later today, and I'm taking 3 electives on Deathworld species cultural norms. Back in the auditorium, the briefing was wrapping up. Students whispered among themselves, casting nervous glances at the few Deathworlders in attendance. Mia sat with her usual study group, 4 students from various species who'd been her friends since orientation. So, one of them ventured carefully, You're really okay with us sitting this close? We're friends, Mia said, looking up from her quantum mechanics notes. Friends have different boundaries than strangers. You guys ask before hugging. You don't grab me randomly, and you respect when I say I need space. That's all I need. But you could, her friend stopped. I mean, if you wanted to. I don't want to, Mia smiled. I like you guys. Why would I hurt people I like? Because you're from Earth? She laughed. Earth's not that bad once you learn what'll kill you. Takes most kids until they're like 7 or 8 to get the basics down. Her friends exchanged glances. 7 or 8, for the basics of survival. Your planet is terrifying, one said. Your planets are boring, Mia countered cheerfully. One of you is from a world where the most dangerous predator is basically an angry rabbit. Where's the excitement in that? The excitement is that we don't need combat training in primary school. Well, sure, but then you miss out on the fun parts, like learning to climb trees to escape predators, or identifying which mushrooms will kill you versus which ones will just make you wish you were dead, or... Please stop, another friend said. You're making me want to never visit Earth. Earth's great. We have roller coasters. And dogs. You'd love dogs. What's a dog? Domesticated pack predators that we selectively bred to love us and protect our children. You domesticated predators to guard your young? Well, yeah. Who else would you trust? Something that doesn't understand hunting? Mia returned to her notes, missing the looks her friends exchanged. Anyway, I've got to ace this exam. Professor Korvax makes quantum mechanics way more complicated than it needs to be. She bent over her data pad, humming softly, completely focused on her studies. Around her, the auditorium slowly emptied, students leaving with new understanding of the small human in their midst. In his office, Dean Zillax made his final log entry for the incident. Today we learned that humans are not safe because they are peaceful. They are safe because they choose mercy. Miss Mia Jones had every capability to kill a fellow student who attacked her. She chose not to. She chose restraint, precision, and proportional response. Then she chose to return to her studies and visit her attacker in medical to apologize for defending herself. This is not weakness. This is strength under control. We have updated our protocols accordingly, and perhaps in time we will learn what humans have apparently known since childhood, that true power lies not in the ability to harm, but in the choice to protect, even if that protection sometimes requires breaking 17 bones in 2.3 seconds. Application approved for Miss Jones to continue her studies. All restrictions lifted. Request assigned, security escort. Status of request, denied by Miss Jones, who stated, "I don't need protection, but thanks for offering." She's right, of course. She doesn't need protection. The rest of us do, from our own ignorance, if nothing else. He closed the log and looked out at the campus, where a human girl sat under a tree, studying peacefully while other students gave her exactly 2 meters of respectful space. The galaxy, he reflected, was a much more interesting place with humans in it. Even if they did come from literal hell worlds and could kill you with their bare hands before you finish blinking, maybe especially because of that.